MongoDB Local. You know, this is the one of now what's going to be 30 of these events. So instead of MongoDB World, the company decided to go global. They're going global. They're going to do 30 events, 19 countries. They're going to be kind of doing a wave of announcements. Yesterday, they did a bunch. And it was I would say it was a big seminal moment for MongoDB in the advancement of its product portfolio. The 6.5 was there. We were on the ground. We did eight interviews or 8 conversations.
8 conversations, 8 videos.
And you can find them all. We'll put some links in the show notes. We talked to the company's head of product. We talked to some of their biggest customers in financial services like Wells Fargo and Citi. We talked to partners like Cisco. We talked to some startups, some cool startups like Ada and One AI. And, it was a great day. It was a great day. So what did the company talk about, though? Well, their CEO, Dave, got on stage and basically focused in on the evolution of the product and the influence that AI is going to have on how the product was developed. Their head of engineering said something interesting in a later session that was designed for the analysts, where he talked about, when we started developing this product, we've kind of asked ourselves, what would we have developed the product to look like if we had developed it for the AI era? And whether this is just great architecture or this was actually what they believe, they said we would have designed it exactly like we designed it today, which is an interesting inflection, because something that's been on my mind a lot is how is the database, data pipeline, data fabric needing to change for the AI data center? And, we're hearing different things about storage, and I had a long interaction with the executive team about this. I won't do it with everybody now, but the fact is where does software embed into hardware? Where in the stack? An operational database like this, where does AI layer on? And where's the real AI value? Pat, you asked some great questions about this, as opposed to just
thanks, buddy.
As opposed to just accessing data, meaning making data accessible. The big wins, the big areas, vector search, stream processing. The company made some additional announcements in both of those areas that I thought were really interesting. One of the great examples the company gave, with using vector search came down to, being able to take different data sets, that could be, they did this automotive one where they could take a sound of a vehicle, pair it with a large language model, and then pair it with all of the manuals across an entire portfolio of automobiles to then help a technician, based on just the sound a car makes, auto generate the text that would ultimately give them the workaround to fix a problem with a vehicle. Things like that, that require many different data formats to be simultaneously utilized to both access the data, the schema, across structured and unstructured, to then create a generative application. And that's really where MongoDB can be pretty special. And then, of course, it made some really good declarations about Atlas. That basically the company has made that full pivot to now cloud being its leading growth engine. It's got a multi-cloud approach. The company is basically saying, we don't care where. You can put it in Google, you can put it in Microsoft, you can put it in AWS. Clearly, developing partnerships with all of them. So, the company had some very declarative, some product advancements. I mean, look, the generative AI opportunity of the moment is enterprise search. It's the ability to take your proprietary data and pair it up with these large language models. And the search feature is interesting because MongoDB is clearly making a run at Elastic. It's clearly making, and saying, look, we can do it and we can build it right in. And maybe my last point to kind of keep this moving is I sense more and more, whether it's stream processing and, what they're doing there and the impact with Kafka, or it's the enterprise search, they're kind of looking at TAM expansion and growth by just feature crawl, feature creep, feature crawl, where they're saying, look, you used to buy this feature from Confluent and you bought this feature from Elastic. You can just do this all in MongoDB and Atlas, and you can just send all the money to us. And that's going to put pressure on some of these point solutions to either innovate or integrate in order to stay relevant. So, and of course, MongoDB is doing a little bit more analytics too, which, you know, puts pressure on some of your traditional data analytics warehouses. They don't want to say that they're a data warehouse, but they're kind of saying we can do some of that stuff. So that's another interesting
I'm not a
thing.
data warehouse, but
You know, it's not about MongoDB, but you know, maybe it's about MongoDB, Pat.
hey, you say Kafka, I say Kafka. Let me try to fill in.
Kafka.
Say Kafka, I say Kafka. So, anyways,
is it right? Is one right?
I have no clue.
Okay.
Here, look, let me ask my son who uses Kafka. So, I'm going to hit a little bit of a different incremental angle here. This was all about growth for the company, and I know, the company is obviously very customer focused, but I'm going to look at it from a corporate standpoint. And there's only so many ways, right? You can grow. You can acquire somebody. You can do it organically. You can take somebody else's share. You can create a new market, or you can do something different. So, a lot of elements of growth here. So, what are some new elements, new things to sell? Even though they make most of their money today on OLTP database, they do have time series, full text search, and analytics, but they added stream processing and vector search. And like you intelligently said, Dan, there are other people in this market who do this, and Elasticsearch popped up for me. And apparently, this is not in competition with Confluent on the stream processing side, but in collaboration with. I need to see the architectural diagram before I can, say, as Confluent did have a booth at the event. The other way you can take market share. The other way you can grow is take market share, and one way to do that, right, add new products, or you can go vertical. And what we saw is Atlas for Industries as a big announcement. And the first vertical that came out was financial services. We both talked to Citibank and who else? Citibank, Wells Fargo, who had some very nice things to say. And the fine point that they put on it is, hey, when it comes to things like regulatory, we're special. So it totally made sense. Some of the other things that I appreciated was the simplification story, right? And we're seeing this same simplification story in security, and we're seeing it in observability, which says, hey, all these best in breed one-offs are great, but you, the enterprise, has to integrate this all together. And by the time that you've integrated it all together, you're probably 3 revisions behind on the best of breed, and you've potentially created some security holes, and you've spent a lot of money. And I like the approach here of simplification that says, hey, it's OLTP, time series, full text search, analytics, stream, or vector search. You have one model, and that's a document model, and you have a unified API. And the final thing is the company's great, right? They have a SQL migrator tool, right, that says, hey, if you hate your SQL provider, whether it's, DB2, whether it's Oracle, come on in. We'll bring you in. We'll not only help you migrate your data, but we'll help you migrate your applications. This is called the relational migrator. So, whether it's, the application code going from SQL to, can I call it MQL or MQL, and schema and data migration, they have you covered. So I just love to see these potential moves that they're making to steal money from other people. There is market making, and that's where vector search comes in, because vector search is very much a big part of the LLM stories that come out. Andreessen Horowitz published a really good schematic on what everything is together. And basically vector search they're saying is the absolute foundation for all this. Text is important, but vector search, when it comes to images, code, music, videos, all of that stuff really lights it up. So check out our 8 videos on the 6.5 podcast on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of course.